Welcome everyone to L2R2 PlayStation Podcast. My name is Fonzie. I'm joined by my co-host, indie game dev, and my UK bruv from another mum, Cal Monroe. Cal, how are you doing?
Yeah, good. For once, I've actually watched all of the things we're going to be talking about today, so I should have some mildly interesting things to say, maybe.
Well, I like when you shoot from the hip. I like when your mind's better when it's just like, I have no idea what's going on, but here's my take, here's that take.
Yeah, that's what normally happens. I normally I'd sort of see that there's a video of something, and I just think, that's over 20 seconds long. I'm not going to watch that. But I actually watched all of the things that have been coming out, sort of over the past few days. We finally got a look at everything. So yeah, looking forward to discuss that, get your take on it, and see what we think.
Nice, same here. How was your week? What did you do? Did you play anything?
Yeah, I've been playing mostly actually Among Us. I've been playing a lot of with some friends.
Tell me about that, because
been...
I've watched footage and I don't really understand like how you play it, but it's like taking the internet by storm. I think it surpassed Fall Guys for like the top streaming game. But what do you think about it?
Yeah, so I don't. I mean, as you know, I don't normally play these kind of things. But I was roped into playing it. We set up like a Discord server, like especially for it and everything. So I've only played it with friends. I've never played it in public or anything. But yeah, it's a lot of fun. It reminds me of like Trouble in Terrorist Town that you could play on like Gary's mod, where you've got one or two sort of people who are secretly the bad guys, and they have to try and mess up your game or kill you whilst not sort of giving away that it's them. So it's basically just that. There's a lot of lying and deceiving each other. A lot of trust is broken. But most of all, it's really good fun. It's really addicting, really funny, really simple to play. And so I've been playing a lot of that in the evenings. A lot of the time, but I've also been playing. What else have I been playing? There was something else, but I've started Assassin's Creed Odyssey. Finally.
Nice. Did
Which
you
I'm
finish the
really,
last
really
one, or did you
enjoying.
kind of transition to this one?
No, it got too much. It was too cringy, and the story was just got too ridiculous. And I mean, not in what it was trying to say, just in the way it was like presented.
Yeah.
It just started getting really just. I just couldn't get on with it. And I've downloaded Odyssey, and it's such a huge step above Origins. I didn't realize how different they actually are in a lot of ways. I mean, if you look at it sort of like surface level, they don't seem that different, but there's a lot of improvements that have been done to Odyssey, especially mostly in like the presentation of like the characters' faces, like when they talk, and it's a lot more better presented, and there's just a few extra things they've added in that just make it more fun. I'm yet to sort of run into the grindiness of it, which I'm sure I will encounter at some point, but no, I'm really, really enjoying that as well. But and also, like I mentioned to you before we started, I've been playing some Baldur's Gate 3 as well, so yeah, a bit of sort of everything really,
Nice.
from Among Us to Baldur's Gate.
Right.
Yeah.
I know with Assassin's Creed, so it's maybe about 2 years since the last one, right? We're coming up on 2 years this holiday. I know it like took the internet by storm, where it was top of the game of the year list. People really loved it. I played maybe the first 3 hours, I want to say. I got to try it first there was a free demo on Stadia where you got to play the whole game for free if you opted in to just try out that streaming service, and it worked fine. I think I ended up downloading it on PS4 or Xbox or something, but I liked I like where the whole this whole game is going. The whole series is going with this open world aspect. I think they're nailing just like giving you control over how you want to tackle stuff. The gameplay is really solid. The game itself is crazy beautiful, and it's just like the bug never sticks with me for very long where I keep playing it. But I'm excited more for not Ragnarok, for the next one coming up. I'm blanking on the name.
For Valhalla.
There you go, Valhalla. I think just that whole story aesthetic mixed with this gameplay, like I think they've really nailed it going forward, and I can't wait for that next one. But yeah, this game was super solid. I wonder how long you'll stick with it.
Yeah, I mean, it's the same for me. I mean, I'd heard huge amount of hype for it from sort of everyone I know who had played it and online, and I'd heard similar things for Origins, but it was a bit more mixed, so I can sort of understand that now. But yeah, it's really great, and like you said, it's made me more excited for Valhalla, because I sort of only had Origins to use as that comparison at first, but obviously it's going to be closer to Odyssey than it is Origins, which is great because, I mean, just visually it looks amazing. I mean, it only has to look like that for Valhalla, and that's fine by me. And yeah, the way exploration's done in Odyssey is different. I mean, there was two modes you choose from when you start the game. I don't know if you remember, where it says, the traditional sort of Assassin's Creed way, where you have all your markers on your map, you know where all the side quests are if you want to go and find them, or the way it says it's meant to be played is in exploration mode, where you'll only find a side quest if you run past the person or come near the person who starts that quest. If you're talking to somebody about a quest, you have to ask them questions about where you need to go. So it will never direct you exactly where to go. It will just give you like hints of like certain areas where the quest is meant to be. And I think I mentioned before, my favorite thing about Origins and Odyssey as well, it's seeming, is the way Ubisoft build their worlds and sort of put all their sort of storytelling into their environments. So just by having this exploration mode, it allows me to accidentally stumble upon things more and explore without feeling like I'm doing the wrong thing or going off when I should be doing something else, if that makes sense. So I'm really, really enjoying that, and yeah, looking forward to play more of it.
Now, have you got far enough to find that huge sculpture with the giant penis and hang off of it? Have you done that yet?
Yes, yeah, I did. I climbed it and I grabbed the penis, and and she said something about it, and really? I took a screenshot as well. So yeah, I did everything. I did the whole tourism of. I was sort of a tourist of that game to do that, because I sort of had forgotten that was in it until I was sort of grasping onto the shaft. So yeah, I've done that. Tick that box.
That's good. Yeah, 10 out of 10 just for the giant penis alone. So that's great. Now with Baldur's Gate, so you're early into it. It's the game's early access, as you mentioned before the show. What are your early takes just playing it and going through it?
So I think bugs aside, I suppose I'll probably get those out of the way first. I mean, there's some pretty bad texture popping sometimes, especially when you get to a new area, or if a new cutscene starts. It can take probably up to about a minute for everything to start rendering in properly. And also, yeah, the game's crashed on me 5 or 6 times, and the autosave system really needs some work as well. But other than all of that, it's really good. I play Dungeons and Dragons every week, so I'm familiar with that rule set, and I'm familiar with sort of the lore and the world of it. I'm enjoying that aspect of it. But in terms of sort of the bugs and things, they are a little bit annoying. But I'm really, really enjoying it.
Nice. I know I've never quite been pulled into this style of gameplay, but the game itself, I've been watching footage for the past couple of months, and it looks crazy gorgeous. Like, that's one thing where it's like, I wish I could get into this because it just looks crazy beautiful. Yeah. But I wonder is it more approachable, like from an action kind of style, or is it kind of bog you down to that turn-based stuff? Do they give you options on how you want to play it?
Yeah, so it's turn-based. So it plays exactly how the combat in actual Dungeons and Dragons plays. So, it's turn-based. Pretty much everything, but you get an action, a bonus action, your movement, everything is identical to the rule set of Dungeons and Dragons, to the point where if you're making a perception check or an ability check or something, you actually roll a d20 on the screen to see if you get it, which is really cool. Similar to these games that try and replicate like tabletop RPGs, like your Pillars of Eternity and Pathfinder and these kind of games. They always have the narration in the writing, so it can describe certain things for you. But in Baldur's Gate 3, it's narrated by a really, really nice sort of lady voice actor, which kind of makes it feel like you sort of have a dungeon master explaining certain things to you, which is quite nice. So if you're familiar with Dungeons and Dragons, the sort of rule set, it's easy to get into. But I think if you're not familiar with it, it's quite daunting to understand. Also, there's even things that I don't quite understand, just the way things are laid out. There's not really a tutorial. There's certain tooltips you get, but they're not very extensive. So there's a lot of things that there's a lot of trial and error in it. There's a lot of times where I've died, had to reload, and then sort of tried to do things a different way. And but it seems to be it seems to definitely be on the right track, especially for an early access game. But the visuals are like you said, they're really, really good. Once all the textures have popped in, it runs really, really well. It's running at ultra at 1440p. I'm getting a solid like 50-60 FPS, so it's obviously optimized quite well. And the facial animations, that's probably something you've seen quite a lot. All the up close facial stuff is really good, and that's paired with really great voice acting as well. But the only problem is, I think, because that technology is obviously so, I don't know whether new's the right word, but so sophisticated, there are times where sometimes their mouth won't move and their face will just stay completely still when they're talking. But again, that's just something to be expected in early access. So it's just things you can sort of gloss over. But yeah, it's really good. It seems like I'm going to spend a lot of hours in it, and like I said, I'm still learning it. I'm glad that I understand D&D. It doesn't seem very accessible for a lot of people. But it's for what it is trying to be. It seems they seem to have done a good job so far.
Yeah, that's the vibe I got, that it's not super approachable from someone who hasn't played this style or isn't familiar with Dungeons and Dragons. But at the same time, that's what I respect, because that community is so hardcore, where it's like you don't want to dumb it down. I think you'd anger them. You want to kind of go full force into that direction, and that's going to appeal to that community in general. They want this hardcore RTS, a D&D style of gameplay, and that's their market. I want to say, is it Larian or Lariat Studios? And they're famous for another RTS, and I forget I'm blanking on the name, but it's like a
Divinity.
There we go. Yeah,
Divinity original. Yeah, and I haven't played them, and they're meant to be absolutely brilliant. But again, they're games that eventually came to console, which requires, obviously, in a sense, dumbing down like the UI so that it works for controller and things like that. And I do think that Baldur's Gate will eventually become more accessible. I think the tutorials will be more fleshed out. I think certain UI elements will be easier to understand. Because again, like I said, it's going to be an early access for about a year, with Act 1 only being playable now and a lot of other things not quite yet accessible that's going to be in the full game. So I imagine it will be a lot more accessible, but like you said, it's more important that they focus on getting these complex rule sets right and making sure that the hardcore fans are looked after, because they're going to be the ones that are playing this in early access, not the people who are looking for the next Divinity Original Sin or the next Larian Studios game to play on their PlayStation or to play on Steam, with all the support ready. So I think there's a lot of context to take into account before sort of playing it, and I think with that all taken in, it seems really promising. And I think that in a year's time, we're going to have a really, really great RPG for everyone to play.
That's awesome. Yeah, I know there's been a lot of build up to this final, or this release for early access. So I'm glad that it's already hitting those markers, and they just have to kind of tweak stuff and go along the way.
Sure.
That's dope. So as far as what I've been playing playing a good amount of Star Wars Squadrons in VR. That just released last week. And I say good amount of playing, but really it's been 90% of it has been just stuck in the settings, getting it to work with VR. So it's just been a whole just shit show with getting my Oculus to talk to the PC and not crash and bug out. And you can always just play it on the regular screen. You can just do it like in not 2D mode, but like a standard 3D mode, or you can do it in VR. And it's once I do get it to work, it's crazy awesome, where you feel like you're in there. They nail the sounds of Star Wars. You hear the pew pew lasers going on. You're flying around, and you'll do that cool move where it's always in movies where you fly through the destruction, like you blow up whatever you're blowing up a second before you actually blast through it, and somehow you're like are free of debris. And you do that all the time, and it's beautiful. The fire just roaring past you, and it's awesome. There's a cool story mode, and in it the characters are fully detailed, and it just feels like you're there. You get to be in the war room where they're making up the plan, and you play both sides, where you're the Empire and the Resistance. And I'm really loving it when it does work. But it's such a great you think it should have been done before this in Star Wars in VR, and I'm surprised it took this long, but it's a great idea, and they nailed it. But I'm very early into it. It's maybe about the first 4 or 5 hours into it, but it does make you nauseous. Like you have to get used to, because you're moving fully around in 3D and VR rather, and it's like, but I've learned little tricks where if some of the cockpits have more of a viewable area, so if you kind of look into whatever direction you're flying, it helps you do those barrel rolls and crazy like dogfighting maneuvers where you don't want to throw up, because as soon as I was
Yeah.
playing, I was just like, I can't do this.
Yeah.
And it just kind of takes a while and you get used to it. But super fun.
Yeah.
I really dug it.
Yeah.
I haven't tried the
Yeah,
multiplayer,
no,
but there is that
yeah,
multiplayer side to it.
I'm glad you've played it, because it came out. It's something that I was interested in, because I loved the space battles in Battlefront 2. It was like one of my favorite aspects. I always thought, that if that was fleshed out more, it could be a really cool sort of standalone thing. So, but I think it came out and was sort of, I haven't really heard much about it, so I'm not too sure how it's been received or anything. So it's good to know that you're enjoying it, and I might look at picking it up. I know that there's something to do with EA and Xbox Game Pass, so I was going to look into that and see if I can get it on the cheap or something like that. Because I love the space battles in Star Wars. It's just very iconic, isn't it? And like, all the sound effects, like you were saying, and how it looks, and so yeah. No, I'm glad that sort of you're having a good time with it, and I completely forgot it was in VR as well. So yeah, that must be a real trip.
Yeah, and they really nail, like, when you're in the cockpit, all the different buttons and doodads. It just feels like everything does something. So they just nailed the ambiance of Star Wars. And
Yeah.
you're right, where it was kind of seemingly under the radar. Like, the week of, I started seeing gameplay reviews and kind of people talking about it. It's like, oh, this game's actually coming out this week. And it's a little bit cheaper too. So in the States, it's $40. So I'm sure it's like $10 off in the UK. So it's not a full-blown release. So it's just a little bit easier to jump into because of that. But yeah, they're really nailing it, and I'm having a blast. Overall, the reviews were pretty good. So I did wait for some of the reviews to come out, and it does work. Once you get it and jump to the hoops, it works fine with VR, and you're able to just hit one setting, and you can go from VR to regular mode. So when it does work, it works cool. But it's just been a pain in the ass. And I first downloaded it on Steam, and Steam doesn't like to talk to Oculus natively, so I got a refund and bought it on Origin. And then Origin is its own can of worms, but it works fine there. And I'll just, once I'm done playing, I'll just delete Origin and burn my computer or whatever, because I don't want it on there. But
yeah. Burn all trace of Origin. That's normally what the plan is. But
yeah,
I don't know if you've seen, because I was just thinking whether I was what else because I know that there's games I was looking at playing, and it was have you seen PlayStation Now has just had Days Gone, Medieval, and something else added to it. I can't remember what the third game
yeah, you're
was.
right. I think there is another one, but you're right with Days Gone, which is cool, because I bought it for like full price when it came out, maybe about a month after it came out, and it just did not click with me. And I do have the urge to go back and give it a fair shot, but I'm glad that it's free for people to try now.
Yeah, and I think Medieval's a great one as well, because I think that's a game that was quite niche to certain people. I mean, it was a game that I was interested in, but at the time, I think it came out during a time where there's quite a few other games out as well. So I think that's a great PS Now sort of acquisition, if that's the right word, because that's definitely a game that I probably wouldn't have ended up buying, but now with a PS Now subscription, I'll definitely be giving that a go. And that sort of partnered with PlayStation Plus as well, now offering that vampire game. I think that's another great sort of niche game that people probably didn't buy, but I think there's meant to be a pretty good game in there somewhere. So yeah, I think those games are games that I'll definitely have my sights set on for the future weeks as well, if I ever finish Baldur's Gate or Assassin's Creed, that is.
Yeah, you jumped into two like super lengthy games, so I don't know if you'll ever see daylight anytime soon.
No.
That is you mentioned how awesome it is to have these games, and it's really just been I want to say a year since Days Gone, maybe 2 years. It feels like it hasn't been that long ago, but where you're getting these AAA games not very long after release, and for free basically on PSN if you just pay for the subscription. Like with digital, we talk about over and over again. I mean, that's the way to go. There's so many great deals on there to where it's such a great thing for consumers going forward, where you can have these deals going digital, and you can't get that same kind of thing with disc-based games. I mean, the PlayStation is going to send you like old school Netflix, a disc in the mail for you to try it and send it back. It's like the way to go is digital to get the cheapest way to play games right now.
Yeah, but yeah, I think it's I think those particular games, Medieval, Days Gone, and Vampire, I think they're all, despite them being on sort of separate services, they're still being given to you for that sort of subscription fee kind of thing. I think they're great choices, because I don't think you can just go, oh, we'll choose a game that's this old and this well known, because I think that there's a certain science behind choosing these games. I think they have to be games like those ones that are kind of maybe missed out by certain people, or people like I love Days Gone when I played it, but I never finished it, and I'd love to go back to it. So this, just by it being on PS Now, even though I already own it, it just sort of refreshes that want to go back to it, and now I don't need to worry about downloading it like 50 gigabytes or whatever. I can just quickly stream it and hop back in, see if it is something I want to download again. Because the streaming works okay. It's a good way to quickly hop into a game whilst it's downloading, or to see if you want to download it. It's a nice little way to test things. But yeah, I think those three games, Medieval, Vampire, and Days Gone, are really good choices, because again, they're, except Days Gone, Medieval and Vampire, both games that I've had my eye on, but I knew I was never going to buy them. So
Right.
now I get to play them included in my sort of subscription that I already pay for. So I think they're really, really good. A really, really good month for PlayStation in terms of their games.
Yeah, I wonder, this is like a separate conversation, but is there a financial way to still make enough money and go full subscription with like both Xbox and PlayStation, go like a full Netflix route where you pay,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, $30 a month, but you get every game for free or part of that
Mm-hmm.
subscription? I wonder if it's just by nature, the whole marketplace for games is going to be always different from streaming media, where you can't, you have to pay, per item. But I wonder if there's a way to still make your money but have just all access to everything and you pay per month. I don't know if that eventually will go that direction, because there's still so much money on the table you're leaving if you don't charge $60 a month, but not, or $60 per title. But not everyone is buying these games. Every game, when it releases, a lot of people are just buying 1-2 games a year. That's a common thing I've always heard. They'll buy their Madden, their Call of Duty, and then they're all set. So I wonder if you could still get more money out of consumers if you do some kind of just like all-in subscription mode.
Yeah. I'm not sure what the best way to do it. I mean, I quite like how it is at the moment. I think it's good that EA is kind of integrating with Xbox, because that just removes one of them. Because it did get to the point where it seemed like everybody was going to start having a subscription when EA came out with theirs, and obviously with Xbox, then Stadia with their monthly thing, and so I think it's good that Xbox and EA have sort of combined, and now with Bethesda as well, that's just sort of adding to that library. I don't think that it should take over, buying standalone games. I think that'll always be there, especially for those who buy discs or who just don't play enough to warrant a subscription. They just, like you said, buy a game when they can and then play that. Because there are some weird people who don't think about backlogs. They actually buy a game and then finish it, which is, foreign to me. But
they're nuts. They're murderers.
Yeah. But I think the one thing that would be really good is if PS Now and PS Plus combined. I wouldn't mind paying, maybe an extra £10 a year or £20 a year to have both of those things combined. I think that would be a pretty good, a good little combination there, and a good way just to keep everything simple. Would be good for their marketing. They'll be able to market things easier, and be easier for us to just understand what's going on. But yeah, I think at the moment I like where everything's going. I like where these services are going. I like how consumer friendly they all are. I mean, PS Now is excellent value now. It never used to be, but now with their new prices, it's much better. And so yeah, I enjoy these sort of service things, but I don't think that buying standalone games sort of should or will go away anywhere.
Yeah, agreed. I wonder if there's a way to kind of proceed that direction, but yeah, it's tough. And there's so much money being made. It's like, why would they ever do that? But although Game Pass is sort of getting that direction with offering you so much, and you just pay whatever a month. But yeah, it is interesting. I think these companies will keep trying different ways, to get the most out of consumers. I think a lot of consumers just aren't buying stuff all the time. And if you can give some kind of excuse to get them paying per month, I mean, that works for Netflix, but it's a different situation for sure for games. But yeah. Cal, well, we got some. Originally, we didn't have a lot on the docket for PlayStation, but as they do, they just dropped some news. Yesterday, all of a sudden, and it's stuff that's been long coming, and that's one of the topics later on I want to get into as well. But we have some details first on trophies, and this I will allocate to you because you're the trophy expert here, but I go over some of the details and get your take on it. So we got upcoming trophy leveling changes detailed. This is Toshimasa Aoki, the director, product management of SIE on the PlayStation blog. So trophies were first introduced on PlayStation 3 and have been an integral part of the PlayStation gaming experience. Today, we're excited to announce we're bringing some enhancements to the trophy system. So there's a bunch of different changes or upgrades to the trophy system. First is trophy levels, new trophy levels. The first thing you'll notice is the big change to your trophy level. We're increasing the trophy level range from the current 1 to 100 to 1 to 999. So following this update, your trophy level will automatically be remapped to a new level within this new range based on the trophies you've earned to date. For example, if your current trophy level is 12, your new level will jump to somewhere in the low 200s. The exact level will depend on the number and grades of trophies you've acquired. There'll be no change to the trophies already earned or trophy information, such as unlock requirements. So picking apart this first, Callum, how do you feel about expanding that trophy list? I know you like to accumulate trophies. What are your thoughts on that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I like it. I think at the moment it doesn't really mean much, just because we don't have the new bronze, silver, and gold, platinum sort of image for the levels. But no, I like it. I think it's cool. I think it just gives you extra incentive. I think that whole level thing was a really cool idea because it kind of gives you like this meta role playing thing for your own profile, which is quite nice. But so I think for them to focus on that is a good move. And yeah, I went from like level 22 to 349, I think. So I'm now silver 1, the first silver, 300 to 399, which I think is really cool. It's kind of like a ranked kind of like Overwatch sort of division system, which is really cool. It's just gonna make people enjoy trophy collecting even more. I don't know whether I'll ever get to platinum level, but we'll have to see.
Yeah, I didn't check mine because I have so few trophies. It's like not even, I'm sure there's no change on my end because I have, I don't know, like 5 or something, but yeah, it's very low on my end. But so in addition to that expansion on the levels, so we have this new level calculation structure according on the PlayStation blog. Mm-hmm. So we've implemented a new trophies level calculation system that is more optimized and rewarding. Players will progress quicker through the early levels and levels will increase more consistently. Platinum trophies will count more towards your level progression, making them even more valuable. And there's a picture here of the various levels, and it looks like different icons possibly. So, and I'll transition to this last part. So the new trophy level icons with an unexpected level range. We were also expecting updating, there we go, the trophy level icon on PlayStation 5, as well as PlayStation app at a later date. Currently, the trophies icon is just a single gold star, but we're adding a few variants. The icons will also have a subtle distinction to visually suggest how close you are to the next level. Lastly, just for clarity, trophies that you've earned on previous PlayStation systems will come to you to PlayStation 5, just as they have in previous generation transitions. Are you digging these new icons? It seems like it's helpful to give you more information. I like the idea they're helping you understand like your progress towards the next level.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love it. Again, it's just like sort of having like a ranked system like you see in Overwatch or Fortnite and all these multiplayer games that I don't play. It's kind of like a nice, it's like a nice just prestige thing, isn't it? You get to look straight at your profile, see what league, but what kind of way you're sort of ranked, which is really cool. It's a cool way to, if you look at other people's profiles, just to get a quick glance at, how many trophies they have or how how much they sort of do. And I think it will be a good way to get people to get into trophies more because that they're going to see people with these gold logos or these silver logos, and it might make them want to rank up because that's the nature of it, isn't it? That's why it works in games like Rainbow Six Siege and Overwatch, because you see these people in like gold division or whatever and you think, oh, I want to get up there. So I think it's a really cool idea. I think the only problem I have is I still think that they need to somehow factor rarity into how much a trophy gives you because there's lots of games that have these really, really easy platinums and these games that people buy just for the platinum. So I think rarity should be a big factor into how much these things progress you as well, because if just the fact it's a platinum trophy gives you like a huge amount of XP, then these people who have like downloaded these duplicate games across like the Vita, PS4, PS3 that are like 5-minute platinums, it's just kind of like cheesing it. And I think that there should be some equation that maybe times things by the rarity, so like bronze, silver and gold will have like a base amount that they give you, but then if it's like a 99% common platinum, then it should get rid of a lot of that original score. So I think there's still a bit of work to do, but this is still good. I think it's a nice little incentive to add on. And yeah, and I think they're right by saying having more levels means it's more satisfying to level up, because I was leveled up 22, 23, so that's not really, I never really cared about it because it never really changed. So yeah, it's a nice little addition.
Yeah, it's very true, where they don't have a way to adjust for, like, if you have 100 platinums in whatever Barbie games that came out, it's like it doesn't equate to, and then not to shit on Barbie games, but like just stuff that's more common versus stuff that's more rare. And they do tell you when you have that breakdown of each trophy that it is a more rare trophy to get, but it doesn't transfer over here. So, but you're right, where they've turned this, as it should be, into like a mini game. That's what it should have been from the beginning. I like that it's going that direction, where it just gives you an incentive to try and reach for that platinum. Otherwise, before, it's just kind of been up to you and how serious you are as a gamer. But now you have kind of this number level system that's just gonna, I want to say, urge more people to try and get those rare platinums and trophies. And it's not gonna do it for me, because I don't care at all, but I like that it's there. Maybe seeing that number is gonna bug me, but we'll see how it goes. But
or seeing that bronze logo, that little bronze, you don't want to be a bronze PlayStation player, do you?
I'm sure they're just gonna give me a cardboard cutout or something, like that's all I've heard at this point.
Yeah.
But it's also that this is stuff that they should have been, the information that should have been, given us beforehand. I'm glad we're getting it at least now, but that's part of Xbox has been really good with just revealing this stuff. And you'd have to imagine that, and we'll talk about it, but like this month, it's got to be the month where they start to give us these details, because there's a lot of stuff we still don't know. But they did give us the whole kit and caboodle with the PS5 Teardown. That was also revealed in this same day of PlayStation announcement. So we got the Teardown. I have the video link if you want to watch at the same time. We don't have to watch the entire thing, but I was going to kind of scrub through it, and just the fact that we got to see this thing completely dismantled. And that's one thing that Xbox, they really started doing this months ago. I think the first thing they showed was just this thing dismantled, and then they put it back together. But finally, we're going to see PlayStation show something like this off. And it's just, it's good to see that we have this information now. And yeah, what are your takes on this Teardown? I did think beforehand that those fins, the sides, were going to come off in some capacity, and it's confirmed now they can be taken off. Then you have the breakdown itself. But what are your thoughts just with them finally revealing this information?
Yeah, I think it looks really good. I think it seems like a really great system, and there's a lot of room inside it, which is, as far as I know from building PCs, that's a good thing for airflow. The liquid metal thing as well sounds crazy impressive. I don't really know much about it, but the fact that they spent 2 years developing it, I think that speaks volumes. I think it was really great. I think it seems like a really well engineered piece of kit, and I like the sound of the dust catchers as well, because no matter what, these machines are going to collect huge amounts of dust. So I think just by having something that might help remedy that and make it easier for you to clean it, I think that's a cool little thing as well. But yeah, I thought it looked really cool. It was nice to see it up close, and I was even getting excited about the stand, how you can put the screw in the thing and then rotate it, and it's all very clever and very futuristic. So yeah, I do like it.
What do you think of with that stand? I think immediately Xbox started talking some shit, where they showed a video like, here's how to turn the Xbox One X over, the Series X, and then just flip it over. But with that was just a clap back to PS5, where you have to take off the little wheel and then spin it around. I have no problem doing that, but I thought it was funny that they took the chance to talk some shit.
I did see that. I thought it was kind of weird, like a weird thing to try and make a joke over, because it's so irrelevant kind of thing. And I think with the Xbox, it's when you put it on its side, you can still see the stand, and that's kind of weird.
Because it's just on there.
I don't really mind. Yeah, it's just on the bottom. So if you put it on its side, then it looks wrong. It looks like it's on its side. You don't want it to ever look like it's on its side. Like if you have your PS4, when you have it on its side, that's sort of the bottom of the console, isn't it? So you want, whatever way you've got it, you want that not to be the side, you want that to be the bottom. And so by having a stand always on there, that means it is always led on its side, if that makes sense. So, and I think it's cool because, I mean, if you look at the PS4 as well and the PS3, you always had to buy a stand separately. So I think the fact they're including one, and the fact that it doesn't just, it's not half-assed, you know, it's not you just take it from the bottom, put it on the side. You actually have to like change it so that it fits the console nicely. I think it's classy. I think it's a classy stand, and you know how stands go anyway. Yeah, I like it. I think it's a well designed looking thing. I still don't think the console itself looks that nice, but I think the stand helps it sort of look at least normal. But yeah.
And that stand is essential because no one's going to be able to fit this in whatever, you know, entertainment center they already have. And you mentioned the dust collectors too. That might be essential because a lot of people are going to put this thing on the fucking ground because there's no way to like actually, you know, set this up. So I'm going to sit on this thing and just kind of play games on it. But so one of the first things they take off in this teardown are the fans, or not the fans, but the fins rather, the sides, which I'm very excited for because I can't wait to just spray paint the shit out of this thing. Like, how long should I wait before I spray paint this thing gold or whatever color I want? And I have seen people break down. It seems like rather than offer you a black or multicolored PS5, they're just going to sell you the fins that are officially, you know, colored by PlayStation and all that kind of thing. Which might be a bummer, paying another $60 just for these little fins that are customized. But if anything, it lets you fully do whatever you want, put stickers on it, you know, spray paint it. I just love that you can customize it if you want to go that route and just do whatever you want to those sides.
Yeah, I think you're right. I'd like to see some, you know, £20 replacement ones as well, you know, different designs and things like that. And I mean, it seems like a cool way to have people, you know, artists create their own and sell them on. So it seems like a really, you know, promising little thing that could just add some interest to owning a PS5. I think it's quite cool. I think the closer I look at the console, I think I like it more and more, but I'm still unsure on how it looks. It still is a bit strange looking, but in terms of the insides, I think it looks really good, and I think it looks like there's a lot of airflow. The liquid metal sounds like it's going to do some good things for the cooling. Because I haven't really looked at the Xbox Series X stuff, and I know a lot of people are trying to say because it's compact, it's going to get really hot, and I know some people have been saying it does get very hot. So you know, this is a good response to that kind of problem or that potential worry that people have. I'm sure it'll be fine. I'm sure they will have tested it, and they probably wouldn't have sent it out if they knew that it was going to be, you know, really, really hot. But I think if I was to guess which one's going to be thermally better, I would have to say the PS5, just because there's a lot more room. They've clearly built it that big to fit in that huge heat sink, and you know, to have that much you know, just empty space for all that airflow. So yeah, I think it's a great teardown, and yeah, I'm excited to get my hands on one even more. Well, I say even more. I don't know, maybe a bit more because of the liquid metal. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, that thing is nuts. Is it going to come alive like you know, T2 style? Or and you mentioned the heatsink. That heatsink is goddamn gorgeous. I've never been in love with a heatsink more than seeing this thing. It's just really cool metal design, and it's just beefy as hell. So yeah, they're really thinking forward with heat dissipation, and of course just like the overall size of the thing. But yeah, I love seeing that heatsink, that crazy fan too. One of the first things they tear down is that beefy circular fan. So they're really focused on just airflow and cooling. But one thing I found interesting, so I want to break this down a little bit more. So they start doing the teardown, and one of the things they show first is that expansion bay for the SSD or whatever SSD they approve. And but they also show further into the breakdown, they show the motherboard and the chipset, and there is an SSD on the motherboard. So I think the standard SSD is already there, and the expansion port is for further memory. I was under the impression that you have to swap out their SSD for another one, and you only have that way of expanding the memory. But it looks like you have their standard 800 gig, which we'll talk about might be less, but you have that, and then you can expand to the to a newly approved SSD, which is dope, because I was assuming that you just have to swap one for the other, but it looks like that's not the case.
Yeah, so it's nice because, I mean, these SSDs are at first going to be expensive. You know, Gen 4 NVMe drives, they're not going to be cheap. So it's great because it means no matter what you buy, you add 700 gigs, say worst case scenario, onto that, and that's how much room you'll have. So you can just go out and buy a 500 gig one, maybe even a 240 gig one, just to give you that little bit more room. In fact, actually on that topic, I bought myself a NVMe drive for my computer, and it was only £90 for a terabyte Western Digital one. So I was looking at the time at the Gen 4 ones, and they were about £150 for a terabyte. Nearing £200 as well. So they're not cheap at the moment, but like you said, the initial storage is on the motherboard. So whatever you buy is just additional storage, which I think is a really, really great way to do it. I think that speaks volumes about why this SSD is so important to the PS5's architecture, because it is so, it's designed, internally with everything. I'm really, really excited. I think that was probably one of the big takeaway things, that the SSD was on board. I think that's a really, really good thing now.
Yeah, I was very, because I just didn't know, or I was under the wrong impression, and maybe that's also because Sony hasn't been giving us the details, and finally they are. But I was assuming you're gonna have to swap it out and choose. But I'm super glad that now it's on the motherboard, and you have that external expansion bay, and you can wait until these things get cheaper, or you can adopt now for like a 500 gig kind of model of those super fast SSDs. But that was huge. That liquid metal thing, don't fully understand it, and there's pictures of it where it's just on there, stuck to the motherboard or the processor itself. So does it droop out, or does it ever weaken? Do you replace it? I don't know how you'd actually buy some liquid metal in the store to actually put it in there, but that's great tech. And overall, I love that they're finally breaking this thing down and just showing you. And it's a very nerdy video itself. Like, it's just very proper. I think he even has like the guy taking it apart has like special screwdrivers that he's using. It's just like super nerdy to the max. But I do love how they've finally shown this, and it's been a long time coming for sure.
Yeah. I think with the liquid metal, it looks like it's underneath some sort of film, so it's kind of, so you can see it running, but I think that there's like a clear something on top of it to keep it in place or something, but maybe like a bit of glass or something like that. I'm not sure, but I think it looks really cool. I know that a lot of people are already trying to say it's bad or whatever, and I think it's the same people who are trying to say that the Xbox small form factor is going to break it or whatever. That these people
Haters.
are like at the top of what they do. They're experts. And whilst there has been a history of some of these machines, like the Xbox 360, for example, having really poor soldering and all that, I think that these are things that are just so much better understood now. It sounds like it's new technology, so of course there could be something that goes wrong, but I just don't think that's the right mindset to have, because you can do that with absolutely anything new that comes out. You can always find the pessimistic sort of viewpoints, and I think that everyone should just, for the PS5, they should be impressed with the sort of large form factor and the onboard SSD and the liquid metal cooling, and people should be impressed with the small form factor of the Series X. I think they both have their own engineering positives and negatives, but it's a really cool video, and like you said, it's you can tell that they really know what they're talking about when he's breaking it down and everything, and he does it so delicately as well, which is nice to watch.
Which is funny, because anyone taking apart their PS5 is going to be on the carpet. There's going to be a dog running around. It's not going to be in this clean, sterilized environment. So that's good that they at least start it here, but no one's going to be in the same format. But with the liquid metal thing, that could turn out to bite them in the ass. But I agree with you, where I'm sure they fully understand what they're doing, and they wouldn't go that route unless it was doable. I'm sure that adds price to it too, so it's not an easy decision that they made on their end. But it seemed like it's the way to go, and I'm hoping that it doesn't have any weird caveats or issues in the future. But it for sure sounds cool. It reminds me of Terminator 2. So the more, if I can have this whole thing liquid metal, it's always a race to like get to that one PS4, or it was like a PS9, mock-up commercial where they had this just like goopy spherical thing that was promoting, I think it was promoting the PS2, but it was like flash forwarding to the future. It's a race to get to that. Well, however close we can get to that. Now we have the liquid metal, so we're closer to this floating orb that just like sinks to your brain and you don't have to worry about anything.
I wonder what the different sides would argue about if that was a thing. What could they possibly? find that.
Right. Well, they're using third generation liquid metal and their brain chip implants
Yeah.
aren't as fast because they're not integrated. Yeah, it's going to be another, we're just going to
Yeah.
find other things to pick apart, and
Yeah.
it never ends. But yeah, this
No.
is great. This is also weird when you step back from it. This is the first generation where both companies come out with a breakdown of their machine. Like traditionally, they don't do this. They don't want you to take this thing apart or see what it looks like on the inside. But now we have both companies like willingly showing you, here's the inside, here's how everything works, breaking it down. But this is the first generation where there's now an incentive to do that.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's important. Just I think maybe they weren't planning on doing it, but with Xbox doing it, and and they've got stuff they want to show off. Like the SSD and the new GDDR6 RAM and all the rest of it. They're probably proud of it and they wanna show it off. And it's definitely the smallest SSD I've ever seen. So looking forward to seeing how that goes.
Yeah, I can't wait. I mean, the closer we get to this, I'm just getting more and more stoked. And we still need more info. We'll talk about that too. But at least we got this teardown. Now, there's another, it's just more of a rumor. But as we're talking about the SSD, this thing came up this week. So it's a leak possibly from Reset Era. And so take it with a grain of salt. But it's saying that the actual hard drive usable space, so the hard drive itself is like 800 and some gigabytes. Once the OS is on there and all the features and stuff, it looks like it's a 664 gigabytes of usable space. It could be not, but just to compare it, well, Xbox Series X, their 1 terabyte hard drive has 802 gigabytes of usable space with the OS on there. So it seems like there'd be some sort of comparable, downgrade of hard drive space with everything on the PS5. Does that turn you off if this is true, if it's around that range?
I mean, I use a 500 gigabyte hard drive on my PS4, and I've never changed it, never used an external hard drive, and that's plenty of room for me. I never have more than, you know, th- I'm never playing more than 3 or 4 games on my PS4 anyway. I mean, I'm sure 660 gigabytes you'll probably want more space than that, but I don't think, I think in this day and age, 150 gigabytes of extra storage isn't a huge amount to shout about, especially when the PS5, reportedly has a far superior SSD, infrastructure built into everything. And also it's much easier to, expand on in terms of the storage and everything. So I don't know. I think there's cases to be had if someone wants to say they're disappointed with that, then that's completely fair enough. I can see why. But yeah, I don't know. I think it swings and roundabouts. You're going to get certain benefits and certain disadvantages for each system, and I think that this is definitely one of them.
And also, one thing that will help is they've been promoting the fact that going forward, they're going to let developers kind of section off what they allow to download first. So say you want to play the newest Call of Duty and it's going to be whatever 200 gigabytes, you can decide to just download the single player or just download the multiplayer. It depends on the dev supporting that, but at least that helps with, I don't want to use up all my space. I can just download portions of this game that I want to play and leave other stuff off. So to kind of help you manage the space that you have. And you're right, where it's just going to take us kind of, just shuffling the games around. A lot of us are already used to that with that stock 500 gigabyte hard drive. And then you can still have your PS4 games on an external drive, and that can be whatever external drive, doesn't matter. But yeah, so it kind of, there's a sticker shock. There's like kind of a letdown seeing that downgrade in space, but it's just us, we just got to manage our space and move stuff around. And then you can eventually upgrade that SSD or that expansion bay. So it's not the end of the world, but it does seem when you see that tagline, if that's true, it's just kind of like a slight bummer. And I think haters jump on that and going, oh, the Series X has 200 more gigabytes. It's like, okay, man, it's like we're all used to kind of shuffling. Even with the Xbox, you're going to have to deal with memory at some point, deciding what to delete. And it's not the end of the world, but I did see that kind of floating around online.
Yeah, no, yeah, and I mean, like I said, I think the PS5's SSD is supposedly much faster than the one using the Series X, because it is the one using the Series X is just a typical, NVMe drive that isn't quite as, because it is, you can take it out and change it, can't you? So it's clearly not as integrated into everything as it is with the PS5. So I think with that in mind, you have to sort of expect some sort of minor downfalls, but yeah, like I said, I think that's a fair argument to say the Xbox Series X has 200 gigabytes of free space. But I think if that's what's going to sway you to purchase something over another, I think that that's quite a small thing to sort of pinpoint on. So but yeah, I mean, 660 gigabytes probably isn't enough, and people will have to buy expandable storage. But for me personally, I'm happy with 500 on my PS4 now. So 660 of extremely fast SSD storage is fine with me.
Right. Yeah, so one feature they've been talking about as well, this is from the initial beginning, is the 3D audio capability. So we have some more info on that. So PS5's 3D audio will almost certainly work with your existing headphones. This is Sammy Barker of PushSquare.com. One of the big features that Sony's promoting with PlayStation 5 is its inclusion of 3D audio. And in a new PlayStation blog post, it's confirmed that you won't need any additional hardware to take advantage of the feature. While the platform holder is peddling its new Pulse 3D wireless headset, it's confirmed that you'll be able to get the exact same experience with the headphones that many of you already own, either through USB connection to the console or by plugging your headphones into the DualSense wireless controller's 3.5mm headset jack. If you don't have or don't want to use headphones, then rest assured that Sony is working on a virtual 3D sound solution for standard TV speakers. Quote, we're also in the process of working on virtual surround sound through speakers that are built into TVs, explained Sony's Isabel Tamatis. Although TV speaker virtual surround sound won't be available at launch day for PS5, it's still a feature we are extremely excited about, and our engineers are hard at work on bringing it to PS5 in the future. So Callum, I'll bring this back to you. So with the fact that you don't need to use their special, cool 3D Pulse 3D wireless headset to get these features, and you could just use your standard headset, what are they really doing behind the scenes to get that advanced 3D audio if you can just use your existing headphones?
I have no idea, but it sounds really impressive that they can just emulate this 3D audio. So yeah, I think it's people like to say Sony are very anti-consumer, but for them to say we've got this new wireless headset, but you can get the exact same experience with your own headphones, I think that's not following that narrative at all. So I think that's really cool. I think it's a really, really nice thing. Because I didn't know any of that at all. All I knew was that they had said that, or what I had seen that was focused on was the fact that 3D sound for standard TVs isn't going to be available at launch. And I remember thinking at the time, it's like, well, why would it be? If your TV doesn't have 3D audio, then why would it be available? But now I understand it's because Sony are trying to make that like virtually a thing for stuff that doesn't actually support 3D audio. So yeah, I think that's very consumer friendly, and I think that's really, really cool. I think for me, not having to buy a headset and just use my current one and be able to still have a better audio experience, I'm really, really excited about that.
Yeah, because I was debating actually pulling the trigger and getting one of those cool headsets because I just want to, because they've been touting the whole 3D audio so much. It's like, I want to hear what that sounds like. But if they're able to replicate that, it's just at some point, I don't know how they're doing it. If it's all, I imagine it's just all software based, because you just, with regular headphones, you have one side, you have the two sides left and the right. Yeah. So how are they creating that sense of 3D sound with just the two headphones? Yeah, I'm just not sure. I know there's stuff like Dolby Atmos where it's multiple speakers to create that 3D audio sound. So I don't know how they're doing it, but if they can nail it, that's cool. Then it really gives you less incentive to buy any kind of 3D audio branded headset going forward, because if you can get it with the existing one, there's no real reason to adopt. But yeah, maybe if you get to actually try at a Best Buy or something, like hear the standard audio versus like the actual Pulse 3D audio, maybe there's a huge jump. But yeah, I'm just wondering how they're actually making it work.
Because as far as I understand it, it's that surround sound is you can hear things around you, and 3D audio is you can hear things above and below you, as well as things of proper depth. So I mean, I'd imagine that is virtually possible, because it's all to do with the distance or the angle of certain noises and sort of where you're hearing it come from. I mean, it's very clever, but I'd imagine that with the Pulse 3D wireless headset, I'd imagine that that's just got far better sound quality. I don't have a impressive headset or anything that has like insane sound quality, so I'm sure that even if the 3D audio work, you'd be able to hear above you and really be able to tell where things are coming from. I still think audio quality will be an important partner to this 3D audio. So I don't think that necessarily the wireless headset's going to be not worthless now. But I think that if it's got good audio quality, then I think it will still be worth the money, because I think audio quality is very important to that whole thing anyway.
Yeah, as we go forward, I do like them tackling these different features, because we kind of nailed, yeah, everything's a 4K, it's running great, everything looks beautiful, that's cool. So there's other things we can focus on with hardware, with software, to handle things like sound and just how that works. And it just helps you feel more immersed in your gameplay. If you can hear the the bullets hitting the floor, like the shell casings, you can hear grass, a character in the grass in front of you. I imagine something like Last of Us 2 would be even more immersive if you can really just hear the environment around you. So I want to see more of that going forward. I think visually everything looks great. So let's kind of dig into the other aspects of gameplay and focus on that. But yeah, so we had some information. So my question that I had that I was going to pose to you was really before we got this drop, because it was the fact that we've had months of Sony just kind of withholding information, not talking about stuff. And it reminded me of the hubris of Sony from PS2 to PS3, where they were thinking, hey, whatever we put out, they're going to buy it, those dummies, because they love the PS2. And then the PS3 was kind of a shit show, at least early on. That was my initial question, but we've gotten a little more information this week. But I'll pose these questions to you and see what you think. So is Sony falling back to that overconfidence they had with the PS3 era? So withholding information, we still don't have an ID on the UI or info on boost mode or an upgrade for PS4 games, streaming app support, PlayStation Store redesign. So in comparison, Xbox they're fully promoting transparency with influencers already having the Series X and trying out the smart delivery, comparing old gen games, the speed on next gen, multi-swapping. Do you get any sense that the PlayStation is still kind of going back to that feeling of we're the top dog, so we don't have to provide stuff, we can kind of push something out and they're going to buy it no matter what? Do you get that vibe, or are they kind of learning from their mistakes?
I definitely get a vibe of them sort of not worrying about what people are saying. Whether that's overconfidence or whether that's just them focusing on what they're doing, I don't know. But I don't feel like it's similar to the PS3 era. I mean, firstly, just to say about the comparing old gen like loading times and everything. I mean, they compared Spider-Man running on a PS4 and a PS5 like way back before we knew anything. I mean, back before the PS5 logo was even shown. And I think this is even before probably just before Mark Cerny's Power Hour thing he did. So I think they have been, showing things. I think they've just been doing it in their own way. And I think to compare it to the PS3 era, I think that the big problems that they had there was the overconfidence that made them put the price so ridiculously high. I think, and also obviously their new architecture, the cell architecture that ended up, being really difficult for people to develop on at first. So I don't think that, and I think they're the two things that caused them to have this really shaky launch. And I don't think that they're present here. I mean, the PS5 is actually the cheaper option with the digital version. And also obviously with their architecture, it seems to be just as normal. I mean, obviously they don't seem to have as good backwards compatibility, but I think that is because of the PS3, not because of the PS5. I think that is because of the PS3's architecture still to this day messing with them. So no, I don't think that they're falling back to that overconfidence. In terms of not seeing the UI and some of these other more sort of bespoke information, I think there's something to be said for leaving that for now, because I think that the UI doesn't need that much of an overhaul. It just needs to be quicker. And that SSD will ensure by default that UI is going to be lightning fast. So, I'm not sure that we need to see too much. I think, again, it's nice to have some secrets. I didn't know that it was nice to have secrets this close to launch, but it is kind of exciting. It's keeping it exciting. So yeah, I think there's definitely an argument to be had that Xbox are being very transparent and PlayStation maybe are holding some things close to their chest, but I don't think they're doing it for any other reason than they're sticking to their plan and they're not letting anything divert them. So I don't think they're getting overconfident. I think that they probably still feel the embarrassment and the effects of what happened with the PS3, and despite the PS3 eventually coming round and eventually dominating that sort of generation towards the end, I think that they'll never forget that, and I think that that'll always be something for them to think about when doing this.
I do hope so. Those lows were so low with the PS3. I'm really hoping that's burned into that just mindset going forward. It's like, let's not forget, how we dropped the ball and we just assumed that whatever we put out, people are going to adopt. That was not the case, and they took them time, and now they're fully on top. But I just worry that they're going to fall back to that same feeling. But they are super confident. So that is the next thing here. Sony expects the PS5 to outsell PS4's launch year. This is also Sammy Barker, PushSquare.com. Sony is banking on some big PlayStation 5 sales in its first few months on the market as it aims to beat the PlayStation 4's first fiscal year. The company's current-gen console sold 7 million units from its launch in November 2013 through the end of March 2014, but we know from past reports that the manufacturer may be planning to produce as many as 15 million next-gen consoles by the end of the existing fiscal year. And so also I wonder, so we're about a month away from PS5 release. There's been little fanfare to promote and compete with the Xbox's console release. Do you think we get one last state of play in this month to kind of fully flesh out any answers or rather questions and answer stuff like that UI, like other features they haven't been talking about? Or do you think we get these like piecemeal updates? Or do you think they have this one last hurrah showing off why you need a PS5?
Yeah, I think we'll definitely get something. I think it will be something similar to that Teardown. And I mean, we've seen some. I mean, I've seen some things of the. We've seen the PS5 load up where with all the sort of stars and the dust and all of that. I've seen a couple of those, especially with now that I know that they've got hands on in Japan at the moment. There's been YouTube videos of people playing on the PS5s and and I know that we've seen a little bit of the starting UI there. But I'm sure between now and then, I mean, they'll have to show it at some point because they wouldn't let us go in blind, and even then, people are going to get them early and show them off. But yeah, I think we'll definitely see something. But again, I'm not too worried. I've seen enough to know that I want one. I'm not bothered about the UI. I know it's going to be fine. So I mean, there's not even if I don't like the look of it. I'm going to be playing games on it, and the fact it's on an SSD means it's going to be fast no matter what. I mean, there's no way that that's going to be slow. So yeah, I'm just ready to see it, but not too worried either.
Yeah, same here, really. Even with all the different criticisms, I'm still on board. Nothing has really swayed me from wanting this thing. And so I would like more information, but at the same time, if I don't see that UI, if it just shows up at my door and I'll figure it out along the way, great. So it's just kind of in comparison to Xbox, they've taken these two different models where Xbox has been showing everything out of the gate, trying to get everyone adopting, just showing what they have and all the features, and PlayStation has been very close to the chest. But I think you're right where they're just following their plan and kind of deciding when to show stuff, and that at the end of the day, it helps them promote the system. I mean, building that hype, it seems to work, where if they shoot off a tweet, whether it's the logo, it's the one of the highest rated or retweeted things, and it's just the logo. So the fact that they're holding it back because they know there's so much demand, they've kind of really created that hype in an expert way. So I can't wait either way, but it's just stuff that I wonder about how they're thinking behind the scenes, and be awesome to be a fly on the wall with their plans to see what's going on.
Yeah. It'd be nice to actually get a PS5 pre-ordered as well.
Yeah, any luck there? Anything releasing? Nope. I know one of the last things we talked about was the fact that they have 7 million that they're going to try and produce, but that doesn't equate to pre-orders yet still.
No. Yeah, so I mean, it's gone very quiet over in the UK in terms of stock. So I don't know, but this is promising. I mean, the fact that they're producing this many, I mean, they're producing over double the amount of PS4s they sold. Then hopefully I should be able to get one fairly easily. But who knows? Maybe I'll just be watching YouTube videos of people playing them until I can get mine.
Yeah, you might be. So, Callum, here's some better news. I know you're a huge Worms fan. This is Worms Rumble brings real-time mayhem to PS5, PS4 in December, and an open beta announced. So this is Stephen Talaby of PushSquare.com. Ever wondered what a real-time version of Worms would be like? You won't have to wait too long to find out, as Worms Rumble is heading to PlayStation 5 and PS4 on the 1st of December. Alongside the release month, an open beta test has also been announced for PS4. From the 6th to the 8th of November, PS Plus members can join PC users in a cross-play multiplayer beta. It's set to feature 3 game modes, Deathmatch and Battle Royale variants, Last Worm Standing and Last Squad Standing, alongside 1 map and the full launch lineup of weapons. How stoked are you? I know you're a pretty big fan of the Worms franchise.
Yeah, it looks fun. I love Worms. I love Hogs of War as well on PS1. That was a great sort of 3D worm-like game. I mean, I haven't seen a Worms game that's sort of been that great for a while, so I hope, I've got high hopes for it. But it looks like a lot of fun. But we'll have to wait and see how that goes. They are great fun, but yeah, we'll have to wait and see. I'm not sort of holding hopes too much, but yeah, hopefully it'll be good fun.
Do you think you'll try to jump in on this beta? It looks like it's, I don't know if I already skimmed through that when I was reading, but is it free? It looks like it's free for PlayStation Plus members, or if you have to actually purchase the pre-order to get in on this?
Yeah, I don't know actually. I mean, it says open beta, so I'd imagine it's free.
Yeah.
Just skimming to the end here, see if it says anything. No, it doesn't actually. I mean, open beta normally means it's free, so yeah, I mean, maybe I might give it a little go, see what it's like. It's just been so long since I've really dabbled in multiplayer that I just don't know whether I can do it. There's just something scary about it now. I've been so away from it for so long that, I mean, the only multiplayer game that I just want to see is Last of Us 2. That's a
For
game
sure.
I'll definitely be jumping into. But yeah, no, maybe if I find myself on the 1st of December, needing to play something, or is it November? Sorry, that it's.
So from the 6th to the 8th of November is the PlayStation Plus members can join. So yeah, so not a month away.
Yeah, no, yeah, If I'm around, with some time, then yeah, why not?
Yeah, nice. Yeah, so I thought we'd just end on some positive news, at least stuff we do know about that Worms beta coming out. But yeah, Callum, that's it for us this week. I'm just going to scrub through Twitter real quick because often they announce stuff right behind our backs and they don't respect the fact that we're recording.
Definitely on purpose as well.
But yeah, it looks like nothing crazy is going on. Alrighty, Callum. So we'll end it there. Where can they find you online?
Bear Munro on Twitter. Other than that, I don't really talk much bollocks anywhere else, so Twitter's the best place.
Nice. Same here. You can find us on Twitter as well at Plastic Heart Pod. That is it for us this week. We'll see you guys next week. Bye bye.
See you later.